Hello, all. Welcome back to the second video in the series of tax changes which are applicable for the tax year 24-25 onwards and which is relevant to the Finance Act 2024 changes. And this is applicable for all the students who are appearing for your tax exams as well as ATX exams for June 2025 onwards till March 2026. First video that we covered some of the taxes changes that we discussed with the examples. Let's go to the second video and let's discuss the remaining changes along with the examples to understand them better. So let's proceed. We covered so far the changes that have taken place in the pensions chapter while computing the income tax, like dividend changes, the dividend nil rate band changes, the child benefit chart changes. Now I'm taking it further and let's take up the next set of changes. So the official rate of interest has changed to 2.25%. The rate of late payment of interest, that is when the taxpayer has not paid the taxes on time and they're paying it late. So when they pay the taxes along with the tax amount, they have to deposit the interest amount also to HMRC. So the late payment interest rate has also increased to 7.75% per annum. The rate of repayment of interest when refunds are issued by HMRC. So they issue refunds along with the interest payments for the delay that took place between when the return was filed and when the refund was issued. That rate has also increased to 4.25%. Now let's go to the next topic where there is a change taking place. That is why we calculate the assessable profits to be taxed for a tax year. Now, we know that so far from 23-24 tax year onwards, for the unincorporated businesses, there was a change that took place that basically discussed that the profits of the sole traders, partners would be taxed on a tax year basis and not like what used to be followed earlier on a CYB basis. So now in the current tax year, since 23-24 was a transitional year because before 23-24 tax year, there was a different set of rules. And post 23-24, there are different set of rules. Since 23-24 is the transitional year, so we have some transitional profits that arise. What you're not required to do is calculate the transitional profits. But what you're required to do is how to tax these transitional profits for the individual's tax cases. That is how to add it to the income tax computation and put it to tax. Let's first go through the rules and then discuss it with an example. So the changed rule is that till 22-23 we followed the old rules, that is CYB basis, and post 23-24 we are following the new rules, that is the profits of a sole trader for an accounting year would be taxed on a tax year basis. And we calculate the taxes now on an assessable income basis like we have calculated it also the last year in the same. So if you have confusions on how to calculate it, then you can see that in my video that was posted for the tax year changes applicable for the tax year 23-24, that I've explained the process how to calculate the profits to be taxed on a tax year basis. Now let's see the changes. So since tax year 23-24 is a transitional year, hence special transitional rules needs to be applied to work out the profits to be taxed. The standard treatment says that whatever is a transitional profits would be spread across 5 years, including 23-24, and every year 1/5 of the profits would be added to the profits and would be taxed normally like how we tax a trading profit. So along with trading profit, we will also add transitional profit to the income tax computation and apply the taxes normally. So please remember that standard treatment would be to put 1/5 of the transitional profit to tax in the tax year 23-24 and remaining 4 parts would be put to tax in each of the following 4 tax years, that is 24-25, 25-26, 27-28 and 26-27. Clear everyone? I hope I'm absolutely clear till this point. Please note transitional profits are in addition to the trading profits that arise for the respective tax years. Okay, and so transitional profits will be included as a separate entry in the income tax computation of a sole trader or the partner, as the case may be. Let's look at an example to understand this better. So I've taken an example here wherein Nadia has trading profits of 97,000 and the question already specifies transitional profit of 12,000 in 24-25. Please note that the transitional profit would already be given to you in the exam. You are not required to calculate the same. So let's calculate Nadia's tax liability. The trading profit is 97,000 and now we will add here transitional profits of 12,000. So the net income would be 1,09,000. We will reduce PA and there is going to be a tapering of PA as it is more than 1 lakh. Okay, so when we calculate the tapering of PA, the tapered PA is 8070 and the taxable income is 1,00930. Now calculate the tax normally like we do in this case. So which will give us a tax liability of 32,832. Clear? So the only thing is the transition profits will be added to the trading profits like we add normally for calculating the income tax. Now, some special rules, let's just have a quick note of it. If there is a start of trade during the year, then you will take the period to be taxed will be from start of trade till the end of tax year. That is till 5th April 2025 in your case. When there's a business ceasing in the tax year, that is a cessation of the business, then we will tax profits for the period from the start of the tax year till the date of cessation. That is from 6th April till the date of cessation. I hope I'm absolutely clear with it. Now let's look at some more changes. Capital allowances have now fixed the annual investment allowance at 10 lakhs to be the permanent amount. Unless and until it is changed by Finance Act, it is going to remain permanent at 10 lakhs only. There is a major change that has taken place when we follow the accounting method to be followed while we calculate the trading profits for a sole trader or a partner, that is the unincorporated businesses. What is that change? The change is that now by default basis for accounting the transactions is cash basis of accounting, which would mean that what was the earlier rule till last year? Till last year, we had a rule that cash basis could only be used when the annual revenue was below 150,000 pounds. But now this restriction has been removed. So cash basis is now the by default basis for all sole traders and partners. However, if these unincorporated businesses would like to prepare their accounts and would like to calculate their taxes as by following the accrual basis of accounting, then they can do so by making an election to HMRC. However, if the question involves calculation of trading profits for a sole trader or a partnership, cash basis will allow by default, but the pattern of calculating the trading profits will not change. We will have receipts including the sale of equipments, expense payments, capital allowances on the cars will also be there. We will get total trading profits and loss. However, your question generally remains silent. So the normal approach that we follow, the normal performer that will also remain intact. That is net profit at disallowed expenses, less allowed expenses, less the income that do not belong to the net profit, to the, the business of the taxpayer, and add any other income that has been omitted or missed to be recorded in accounts. So that performer will also hold true. Okay. Now, the other major change that has taken place is the rates change in NIC. So the rates change that has taken place is class 1 employees NIC rates have now changed, that is from pound 12,570, more than 12,570 to 50,270. The rate has been reduced to 8% only, 8% of the gross earnings. And for the incomes or the gross earnings beyond 50,270, the rate would be 2%. Employers NIC is remaining same. That is any gross earnings beyond 9,100. In case of class 1 employers NIC contribution, the rate would be 13.8%. When we talk about class 4 NIC, again there is a change. It has been reduced. The NIC rate is reduced when the trading profits are between 12,570 to 50,270. The NIC rates have been reduced to 6%. And beyond 50,270, it is 2%. I hope I'm absolutely clear. One more major change. Class 2 NIC has been removed for most taxpayers, and hence it will not be examined for you as well in your exams. So now the only NICs applicable to you would be class 1 employee, class 1 employer, class 1A on taxable benefits, and class 4 for the self-employed people. I hope I'm absolutely crystal clear till this point. Let's look at the remaining 2-3 other changes. First, the CGT tax rate for the residential property gains in case of higher rate band has reduced from 28% to 24%. And the AE amount, the annual exempt amount in case of chargeable gains, has also reduced from 6,000 to 3,000. There are some changes that have taken place when we talk about enhanced capital allowances for companies. So what are the changes that have taken place? Let's have a quick look. Earlier, till from 1st April 2021 to 31st March 23, we had super deduction clauses applicable that simply discussed that any new plant and machinery which is bought during the tax year by the companies would be subject to 130% super deduction, and the entire amount would be subject to capital allowances, would be available as capital allowances if it was a main pool asset. If it was a special rate pool asset, then instead of a super deduction, 50% first year allowance was allowed. And that would be going to the allowances column. The remaining 50% would remain adjusted with the pool. Now that those rules that we discussed till 31st March 23 were only applicable for that period. Post that, now we are going to be discussing if there is a disposal of assets on which super deduction of first year allowance was claimed, then how to treat those assets in the books and how to treat those disposals in the books. The Act says, the HMRC says that, boss, if you have a disposal of the plant and machineries on which either you have claimed a super deduction or a first year allowance, then in that case, the 100% of the lower of disposal or disposal proceeds or original cost, whichever is lower, 100% of it would be a balancing charge that will reduce your capital allowances. This is in the case when super deduction was claimed. However, if first year allowance was claimed under special rate pool, then again you will take disposal or cost of the asset, original cost of the asset, whichever is lower, and only 50% of it would be a balancing charge that will reduce the capital allowances, and the remaining 50% would be reduced from the special rate pool. I hope I'm absolutely clear, and don't worry, I'll do questions to make you understand it. Okay, next. If the special rate pool was that on which we had claimed AIA, then no balancing charge will be created. Balancing charge will only be created on the FIA special rate pool category and the main pool super deduction category. On the assets on which we had claimed AIA, they will be reduced normally from the pool balance. Clear? Now let's look at the amendment that has taken place for the current tax year onwards. The amendment is that those reductions are now welcome back. What does this mean? That if there is a new plant and machinery purchased in the tax year for the main pool category, then that plant and machinery will be subject to 100% first year allowance. It will not be subject to 130% super deduction. It will be subject to 100% first year allowance. That means complete amount would be allowed as an allowance. If it is a special rate pool asset, then 50% would be allowed as a first year allowance and 50% would be reduced from the pool balance. I hope I'm absolutely clear. Please note that cars will not qualify for this, and it will only be qualified, only new plant and machinery would be qualifying for the same. Second-hand assets will also not qualify for the same. Let's look at some examples to understand this. So I'm taking two examples here, people. Please pay attention. I hope that you understand it quickly. Jaspi Limited purchased second-hand main pool machinery for 3 lakhs. Stop. Second-hand main pool machinery. Will it be subject to FIA? No, because we need new plant and machinery. So we will provide AIA on it. Annual investment allowance. The new pool machinery, the new main pool machinery for 4,90,000. That means now this will be subject to FIA. Why? It is a new main pool machinery. That means it will be covered for first year allowance. New special rate pool plant for 2,70,000. Again, it will be subject to first year allowance. But now please look here. Special rate pool category assets are only going to enjoy 50% first year allowance. But if they opt for AIA first, then they would be eligible to get 100% AIA on the cost of the assets till the level of 10 lakhs. So obviously it's more beneficial for a special rate pool asset to first adjust AIA of 10 lakhs, and then only the remaining portion would be adjusted against the first year allowance 50%. Let's look at the example to understand this better. Now, if I take capital allowances, first I will take AIA and I will take the special rate pool asset under it. So let's look at that example. Okay, it says that JAPI purchased a special rate pool machine for 2,70,000. It will be subject to full AIA, no problems. So this new special rate pool machinery would be subject to 50% FIA because only 50% is applicable for it. So we will have 2,70,000 multiplied by 50%. FIA, sorry, my bad. 2,70,000 is subject to AIA, right? Because first we are giving AIA of 100% annual investment allowance. So 2,70,000 will enjoy 100% AIA and we will get the complete amount in allowances. Got it? Next, let's go to the main pool asset. The new main pool asset is 4,90,000 that would be given for first year allowance, because whether you give AIA or first year allowance, it's one and the same thing. So we will give first year allowance here for the main pool machinery for 4,90,000. Now the remaining second hand pool machinery is 3 lakhs. So now here comes the problem. Why? Because we took 2,70,000 for AIA, 4,90,000 for AIA, and 3 lakhs for AIA. Now total of it goes beyond 10 lakhs. So then what should be the correct way? Correct way is first give AIA to that asset on which you will not get FIA, which is second hand main pool machinery. So number one, we will give special rate pool full AIA, because you know that when we give a sequence of adjusting annual investment allowance against the purchase of assets, first priority is always to the special rate pool asset. Hence, first I will adjust the special rate pool asset of 2,70,000. Then I will adjust the remaining AIA against the second hand main pool machinery because it is not subject to FIA. So when I adjust 3 lakhs, now total 5,70,000 is already been adjusted. So what is the remaining amount? Total AIA is 10 lakhs. 5,70,000 we have already adjusted. So the remaining is 4,30,000. Very good. So 4,30,000 will be subject to annual investment allowance, and the remaining 60,000 we will take it to FIA. Right? I hope I'm clear. Now you add it and you get total of allowances. Now let's look at the next one also, people, just to be absolutely clear about this question, this topic. During the year ended 31st March 25, Bear Limited bought second-hand factory equipment for 1,55,000 subject to annual investment allowance. Don't forget that. And sold the following items at proceeds less cost. You can see here there's a machinery sold on which we have claimed the 130% super deduction earlier. So what should we do? We should take 100% of disposal or cost, whichever is lower, that amount, and reduce your capital allowances and show it as a balancing charge. Let's look at the question. First, we will provide AIA on the second-hand furniture, 1,55,000. That will increase the allowances. Next, there is a disposal of machinery. Proceeds are 30,000. Cost, it's already written proceeds less cost. That means proceeds are less than the cost. Hence, we will take proceeds. Proceeds are 30,000. On this machinery, 130% super deduction was claimed. Hence, 100% of it would be the balancing charge. So you will add 30,000 to the balancing charge here. That means it will reduce your capital allowances. Clear, everyone? Now let's go to the next one. Special rate expenditure. On this, we had only claimed 50% FIA, so only 50% will be disallowed and added to the mean, and 50% will be disallowed and added to the capital allowances. That means we are going to reduce it. Okay, so the proceeds are 70,000. 70,000 is lower figure. 50% of 70,000 is 35,000. So by this amount, we will add. So you can see here, by this amount, we will reduce our capital allowances. I hope I'm clear. So now allowances, along with the balancing charge, we can get a total here. Okay, now we are done with the main pool. We are done with the opening balance. We are done with the main pool. We are done with the special rate pool. Now just understand here. In this case, when 70%, you can see here, the 70,000 that was mentioned, only a 50% FIA was claimed, right? That 50% we've already added with the balancing charge. That, as we have already reduced our capital allowances by it. So then comes the question, ma'am, what to do with the remaining 50%? What did I tell you? The remaining 50% would be reduced from the special rate pool as disposal proceeds. So let's look at that. So remaining 50% is 35,000 that you can see is reduced here. So I hope I'm absolutely crystal clear to everyone on it. Okay, so you will take the super deduction case, you will reduce it. You will take 100% of it, of this amount, and we will reduce the capital allowances by it. Then special rate expenditure, 50% would reduce the capital expenditure and 50% will reduce the special rate pool. Opening balance is already given to you and the special rate pool also given to you. Now, what is the maximum capital allowances available? 30 and 35. 65 will reduce it, right? 65 will reduce the allowances. So the remaining capital allowances, you need to calculate WDA. You will get the totals and get WDA at 18% for main pool and 6% for special rate pool. Okay, so the total allowances come out to be 1,08,900. I hope I'm absolutely clear to everyone for this. Any queries, any doubts, you all can reach out to me, not a problem. Now, the last portion that I'm taking up for your tax changes is that in your VAT, the registration limits have gone up. That means now compulsory registration is required if the annual turnover exceeds 90,000. And the deregistration limit has also increased from 83 to 88,000. Okay, that means only then after registration can be removed. Let's look at a question to understand this. Okay, now let's look at the VAT registration question to understand this topic better. At the end of every month, a trader must calculate their cumulative turnover of taxable supplies for the previous 12 months to date. Fred started to trade cutlery on 1st January 24. Sales excluding VAT were 8,500 a month for the first 9 months and 9,000 a month thereafter. So if you multiply 8,500 into 9, how much do we get? 8,500 multiplied by 9, we get 76,500. And now we will add 9,000 also. Okay, 9,000 for 3 months. So total you add it, you get 1,03,500, boss. It is very much excess. Okay, so we will just see here. So I will remove 9,000 from here. Yeah, so we get 94,500, because if I remove 9,000 from it again, then we will not be able to calculate the values. Okay. So now here you also get turnover of 94,500, which is exceeding 90,000. Since it is exceeding 90,000, so he will be required to be registered with HMRC, and he will be required to register for he will be required to register for VAT under HMRC rules. Now let's just have a quick look of what will be the date of registration. So in this case, the date of registration will be 1st November 25. Okay, will be 1st November 25, and balance rules we will discuss in the VAT chapter. So I hope that these two sessions were very fruitful and you were all able to understand the tax changes that are applicable for exam terms June 25 onwards till March 26. And also, just one more announcement. If any of you would want a copy of these changes, then please comment with your email ID and I will send the changes to you, the changes file to you. Thank you so much for listening out. Take care. Bye bye.